Hi, everyone. Welcome to Navigating the Digital Playground, a new podcast from the Stevens Point Area Public School District. I'm Sarah O'Donnell, Director of Communications, and I'm really glad you're here. This series is designed to continue a conversation that began last year through our digital age sessions, really focusing on how technology shapes students' lives and how we can work together to help them use it in healthy, positive, and balanced ways. Welcome back to our next episode of Navigating the Digital Playground. Today, we are going to talk about creating healthy tech boundaries at home. And we have with us Dr. Brian Casey, our Director of Technology, who is going to chat with us about that today. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to be here. I love talking about technology and kids. That's why I got into this job.
Perfect. Can you give us a little bit of your background, Brian? How long you've been with the district?
Yeah, I think it's my 13th year in the district in this role. Prior to that, I was a technology coach, teacher that helped with technology. And I was a teacher for a good number of years, so I have that background too. And I'm also a parent. I do have 3 children who went through the Stevens Point Area Public School District, so I'm very familiar with how we do things here. And over the course of my career, I've been very collaborative with other colleagues and other professionals that really have the focus on how do we use technology in teaching, and beyond that, also kids. What are they using? What impacts them? How do we keep them safe? Has also been a primary focus of my work over the last decade, really.
Yeah. Absolutely. Brian, what are you hearing from families about technology use at home right now, or what's coming into our classrooms that we're seeing?
It's pretty clear that kids that are growing up now are growing up digital. Well, we've known that for a while. I mean, that's been a fact for over a decade. It's not anything new. Some of the technology that they're using changes. Currently there's a lot of TikTok is a big thing. Mm-hmm. Those types of platforms that change, but really the idea behind it is pretty much the same. Before that, it was YouTube. Now it's TikTok. But it's just the idea that kids are exposed to ideas and people well beyond their own home, their own community, internationally. That it allows them to learn about new things and expand their world, but it also exposes them to a certain amount of risk that we want to make sure that they're aware of and their parents are aware of as well, too. With the idea that technology itself isn't necessarily bad or evil. There's risk that comes with it, but it can be used for many things that are very, very positive. And really, it's a fact of life. Growing up, if you're a student, you need it to succeed in school, but it's also part of your social life. It's probably going to be part of your career moving up. The latest thing has been AI, which I don't think is quite really hit home with students so much yet. I think they're just starting to learn about it. It's more of a thing for adults. But We're starting to see more and more kids tip their toes into the water and kind of experiment within the guidelines that we've provided for their use.
Sure. Brian, we're really lucky here to have our one-to-one program for students to have Chromebooks. Can you just walk us through kind of some of those safety parameters that are in place that comes with those Chromebooks while they're using them in our district?
Yeah, so I mean, the number one goal is that knowing that we have to use a lot of technology in education, whether that's, assessments or access to curriculum or anything else, we wanted to make sure that every kid starts on a level platform so that they have a device that does what they need and it works reliably. So that's why we use Chromebooks it's a very good universal device. The fact that we give a device to students and they're allowed to take them home and use them for homework and research and other things, also some independent use within our guidelines, we have to make sure that they're safe. So the Chromebooks that we issue are pretty well locked down. It's not the same as a Chromebook you'd buy from Walmart or Best Buy. We have configured those to restrict many, many things that would allow them to have more control over what they do and where they go. So the device is locked down. The second thing that we do is that we do monitor their accounts. They are provided email to use for academic purposes, and secondary students are allowed to use the email beyond the school, and that is to allow them to contact people that they may need for a research project, or especially when they get in high school, colleges, universities, employers. So there is a reason for that. But due to that fact that we give them a device, we give them internet access, we have to provide security. Mm-hmm. We use a filtering mechanism called Securely, and that's a vendor that we employ. It provides filtering for access to the internet, so if they try to go to sites that we've deemed unsafe, they're blocked. It also monitors their use of email, their use of Google Drive, which is where they store pictures and documents. So if they're creating a writing project or they've stored pictures in their drive, we will monitor those to make sure nothing inappropriate is showing up in their drive.
Okay.
So we are watching to the best of our ability. I would say it's been a very reliable, good service to use. We do get alerts on students for unsafe behavior. And when those alerts happen, school officials are notified, and then they can take action and intervene when required. So that's something that we do for parents to I would say to ensure that the device is safe. But the other thing I'd like to say is, like, when students are using the internet or any device, whether it's something they use at home or our device, nothing is 100%. There is no filter that works to 100% efficacy. And even if it's a service that parents are using, something like Bark or whatever at home, they shouldn't think that it's, I got this set up, I never have to be involved in my child's life.
Right.
We always emphasize that there is no substitute for parental involvement or parental supervision when they're using technology. But for the devices that we send home, that's probably the best that they could do. It's probably way better than what most parents would set up themselves.
Sure. Brian, is there anything additional that parents can do with that securely on that Chromebook to help kind of when they're on our internet? My understanding is it's got like one set of rules, but maybe at home the Chromebook may act a little bit differently?
No, Securely is universal. So when they're on there, that filtering is always in effect. When they're on our network, we also have a firewall, but that applies to all devices, whether they're trying to access our internet or our Wi-Fi with their own device, whether they're logging into a lab computer, whatever it is, the firewall is there doing that work.
Okay.
The Securely works 24/7 on the Chromebooks, but only the Chromebooks. We don't have it on lab computers, or obviously we don't have it on their phones. So
Sure.
At the times when they're allowed to use a phone and they access our Wi-Fi, they will hit the firewall.
Sure.
But we also offer parents access to Securely Family, it's called, Securely Parent Access. And what that allows them to do is actually get a detailed monitoring of what their child is doing. They can see what sites they visited, what's been blocked. They do have some more control over the device at home. For example, they can turn off the internet. If they feel that, the child is using the Chromebook too much, or they're done with their homework, or they can literally go on the app on their phone and say, turn off internet.
So it's sort of like a built-in screen time for that Chromebook if they wanted.
If they want to use that. And we, it's not set up automatically. They have to contact us. The instructions are on the webpage, and then we provide that access for them. So I think for those parents that want that extra level of involvement, we do provide it. And it's also important to note that only works after school hours. It's not set up to work during school. And what we tell parents is, while they're at school, we have a firewall, we have Securely, we're monitoring, we got that when they're at school. The minute they leave campus after hours, they have the ability to restrict or do other things with the Chromebook.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Brian, thinking of, we've got Chromebooks, we kind of talked through that. A lot of students have phones, right? And that's a lot of where they are accessing just information. Can you make any recommendations for maybe some different types of monitoring, I don't know if we call it software or monitoring apps that families can use to kind of have that conversation with their kids or put some safety guardrails up?
Right. Well, I think the most important thing to do is to have the conversations with the kids. And it seems like, well, that's a no-brainer, but you don't want to just install some software and never sit down and talk to your children about why and what's going on. There is real danger that kids are exposed to. And it's not just, I got hacked, or, I went to a website that I wasn't supposed to go to. They're literally professional criminals that target kids. And if my kids were growing up now, I would be sitting down and having the conversation about sextortion with them. That's not a topic a lot of parents want to talk about, but they have to understand there are professional gangs that they're organized criminals that are worldwide that are targeting kids, and the kids need to know that you know, it's all great that you want to interact with people, maybe go on social media, whatever it is, Roblox or TikTok or any of those types of things. But here's what you should do when this happens, and this is okay and this is not okay. I think that's incumbent on parents to sit down and say, look, you know, we're giving you a device, but here's the expectation. We want to keep you safe, and this is real. This happens, that people may come and approach you online and try and recruit you for really bad things or try and steal information from you. I kind of think when I was growing up, we didn't have phones. I'm dating myself there, but honestly, we did not have the internet, and they taught us about stranger danger.
Sure.
You know, and it really sunk in. It was like, look, when an adult comes up to you and just wants to talk to you, here's what you do.
Yep.
I think parents need to do that with their kids. It's like, besides just saying, well, that phones are bad and the internet is bad, just don't use it or I'm going to block everything. That's a failing strategy. I think the better strategy is to try and educate them about the dangers and try and teach them what's real and what they could face, and also what would be inappropriate, or when would you want to ask for help. And it's okay to ask for help. You know, I think they're shamed into being silent a lot of times too, because they went to an inappropriate website and they don't want to get in trouble.
Right.
It's not about that. It's about keeping you safe. So that's one tip I would definitely give to parents. Have the conversation.
That's a good takeaway of really talking through that. When is it time to get help, right? Like when is it time to have an adult come into that conversation? Right. I really like that.
Well, and I think also some parents are intimidated. You know, they don't, depending on their age, or kids are very inquisitive and they learn things very fast, and they're also uninhibited a lot of times by the idea of risk or danger, right? And they'll just do things. And there may be things that adults aren't sure about yet, or like, what is this? Well, have the conversation and find out. Know where they're going. What social media platforms are they on? How are they interacting with other people? What games are they playing online? And learn more about it. And don't be intimidated to the point where if I don't know what it is, it's automatically bad. But it's a good place to start.
Yeah. I can think of back when my kids wanted to be on Snapchat.
Yeah.
I'll date myself. I didn't have Snapchat when they were on there and felt like I needed to learn how to do it. So me and a mom friend, we both downloaded it and we snapped each other until we figured it out, because we felt really kind of silly not knowing how to use it, and our kids were using it. But
my wife found out that you could actually track kids on Snapchat. You actually use that as a primitive geo monitoring method for our children,
map.
Right? The Snap Map. So that's an example where it actually worked to the benefit, and then that also gave her a chance to see what it was about and maybe even, see what they were doing online. Not trying to necessarily spy on them so much, but also,
be a part of what they're engaging in. Brian, do you think, I know we have some digital curriculum or digital, I'm not saying that right.
Digital citizenship is what it's called. Basically, it's our way of trying to teach kids about being safe online and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. And it's very important because it also extends to their lives with the phones beyond what we do in the school district.
Right.
Because we do talk about social media, we do talk about texting, we do talk about things that we don't necessarily provide to them.
Sure.
We don't pretend that those things don't exist. They're real. And, they really need to hear it from multiple sources. They need to hear it from trusted adults. They need to hear it from a teacher that they trust, their friends, hopefully, but also their parents.
Yeah.
That it's the idea that, whatever you do right now online, I think kids still have to understand that it's going to follow them. Mm-hmm. That's one of the big messages, is that they're going to make mistakes, but hopefully they have enough people around them to support them and that can help them. But also think twice before you do something online.
Create it, yeah.
They create something or post something, and it can lead down avenues that aren't so good in terms of cyberbullying or, like I mentioned before, this extortion thing or other things like that. So the more we can talk about it and make them aware of like, well, this is what normal is and this is what is questionable and not good, and please don't do this.
Right.
Just like everything else, we try and educate them about drugs and alcohol. And, no, alcohol is part of becoming an adult in this society. And it's not like we can teach them how to drink, but we can teach them what the risks are about that, obviously. Driving, another example. You had to drive, but how do we, educate kids about being safe there? I think the digital citizenship is acknowledging the fact that what they do online is very consequential to them and their mental health, their well-being, and sometimes their physical safety. And we have to do something to teach them about it.
Yeah, yeah. Brian, is there anything you want to share that you thought I'd ask that I didn't ask you about?
No, like I say, I always like it when parents reach out and they want to know more about what we're doing. So I think this is a good thing to try and get the message out to parents. And I think you mentioned it before too, is that parents kind of bond together and find, support from each other. And like, well, what is this Snapchat about, or TikTok? Is it really bad? Or what is the newest thing? AI. Should my kid be using AI? Is it, they're interacting with a chat bot? Is that normal? Those things are great. There's a lot of good resources. We use Common Sense Media. They're still kind of the go-to we recommend for parents that want more information. And then, of course, they can always reach out to the school district, too. Parents ask us all the time about monitoring. We can help with the monitoring on our device. But I also let parents know that it's more than just trying to find a service that you think is going to block everything. Because if you have the mentality that you're just going to try and block all the bad things and constantly try and block things, they'll find a way around it.
Yes, they
Kids
will.
are very ingenious, I guess, when it comes to this. And the internet is a great way to spread ideas about how to defeat filtering. So, it's almost establishing that trust with the child and understanding the parameters of, the limits of, we give you this phone or this access, here's what we expect, here's what happens when it doesn't. Knowing what the good options are if they do want to do some monitoring. We don't recommend specifically things for their private devices, but we can help.
Yeah. And we can put some of those links in these show notes, too, of just different options maybe that are out there for families to review. Well, Brian, thank you so much for joining us. This was really enlightening, and I just appreciate the opportunity to have the conversation and what you have done to champion digital safety and digital citizenship in our district, and all the work that you and your team do to keep our kids safe online.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. And thanks for having me. It was nice to talk about it.
This has been Navigating the Digital Playground, a podcast from the Stevens Point Area Public School District. Our mission is to prepare each student to be successful, both in and beyond the classroom. To explore full episode transcripts, family resources, and upcoming events, visit pointschools.net/digital playground. Thanks for listening and for partnering with us to help every student learn, connect, and thrive safely and responsibly. This podcast is meant to share ideas and resources to support families. It is not a substitute for professional advice. If you have concerns about your child's well-being or digital habits, please connect with your school counselor or a trusted professional.